and LSU, the champions of the Western Division of the Southeastern Conference. And that's where we will start. It was not very pretty up in Fayetteville. The weather was not very pretty. Actually, it was a nice day. It was freezing cold. And the product was not very pretty. LSU did not play a very good football game on Saturday, but Arkansas had no quarterback and couldn't score, and LSU did enough to win the game.
Yeah, they did. That was some ugly football, and I think I probably needed some blood pressure medicine after watching that fourth quarter. Just way too close for my liking, just a play away from that thing just being absolutely out of hand, because you just felt like it'd be so tough for the offense to go down and try to score if Arkansas would have took a lead at any point. But you found a way to win, an ugly win, and I think without Harold Perkins, the freshman with the flu, probably goes the other way.
He was something. We will talk about all that over the first hour here on Hunt and Hill. We'll get to the SEC at the top of hour number 2, a little bit of Saints talk in the second hour as well, but heavy on LSU and Arkansas and what we saw on Saturday, and an unbelievable accomplishment. I want to start with that because that is where the story should start. Is winning the West is a big deal. And for LSU to accomplish that in year one under Brian Kelly is incredible. Ole Miss has never done it. A&M has never done it. It's hard to get to Atlanta, and LSU did enough to do so this year. And it's not something that LSU's done a ton. They've done it more than most, but it should be celebrated to win the West.
It's a huge feat, and this is why every preseason I tell you guys about the Aggies. It's so hard to get to Atlanta. They're not going to make it, but to see this team do that in this short fashion, I don't think I've seen the team improve to this level, especially with all the preseason expectations, the win total, everything, just no one on this planet picking you to beat Alabama, and to get to this point right now to be playing in the SEC championship in Atlanta. I think especially you got to give kudos to Coach Kelly for putting the staff together, finding the Band-Aids to put this roster back together and to do this in year one. I think it's absolutely incredible.
So as far as the game goes on Saturday, I thought that Barry Odom did a really good job. The Arkansas defensive coordinator had a plan, and they just had LSU baffled. Clearly, LSU believed in their game plan offensively they were going to be able to throw the football on Arkansas. Everyone else had. We went through all the numbers last week. Everybody's throwing for 350 on these guys. It's just been an atrocious secondary that Arkansas has put out there. So LSU comes out, and on the first 11 snaps that LSU ran, they had 10 pass plays called. Mm-hmm. And what happens there is Arkansas is basically dropping 8 almost every time, and then bringing some zone pressures here and there that were well-timed that LSU did a very poor job of dealing with. And it got LSU totally off balance. They just didn't know what they were doing offensively. They then leaned on the run a ton from that point forward, which was kind of a change, I think, in what they thought they were going to do. But do you believe that Arkansas – first of all, what did you see from what they were doing defensively, and is this a blueprint that teams are going to use moving forward because LSU was only able to produce 13 points?
Yeah, I think, their whole game plan was we're not letting JD5 beat it with his legs. And whether they were spying guys, zone pressuring, they were doing the exact opposite of what Alabama was doing and giving up rush lanes. And I thought anytime he did try to bake the pocket, they had a couple guys right there ready for him to go, and the defensive line really wasn't flying upfield, trying to create much pressure, and it just kind of forced a world where he had to make, accurate, timely throws down the field. Malik had the drop, kind of threw the rhythm off, and then with the passing game after that, it just kind of went absolutely downhill, and you took a version of this LSU offense that did allow them to score, 45 points in back-to-back weeks and get up to 32 points against Alabama, because you had to respect the pass game. And kind of when that avenue was taken away, like you said, Denbrock kind of stuck with the run game. It was a game where the Arkansas offense really couldn't do anything. So what you just had to do is not screw it up, not have one more turnover. If you think you have a turnover in the second half or fourth quarter at any point, I just don't see how you really overcome that. So I think a lot of people are bashing Denbrock for this, and they don't think it's one of the best games called. But sometimes you got to win ugly, and that was just running the ball as much as humanly possible and trying to get out of there with a win.
51 runs to 15 passes there. And we've seen Jaden Daniels, and the progression that he's made from September to today has been incredible to watch. But then you look back at the game against Arkansas, and he looked like the guy he looked like in September. Get to the back of his drop, ball doesn't come out, holding it. Now the offensive line kind of craters, and he ends up going down or trying to just run, and then they had a spy on him more often than not. He has not been a guy who has put the ball into tight windows this year. He has not taken those chances more often than not. And so I don't know again, if this is some sort of trend we've got to be aware of, that I don't know how much UAB is going to show us, but certainly Texas A&M has enough humans back there to figure it out and to try to duplicate what Arkansas did. But if you just drop back into zone and say you're not going to run for more than 2 or 3 yards, he's going to have to try to throw the ball into tight windows, and he just didn't seem comfortable doing that on Saturday.
Yeah, it's just the pass game wasn't on for him in that particular day. Even on the interception, just looked like he had a throwing window and just kind of just threw a really really inaccurate pass, and it kind of just went right to the defender. So it just wasn't his day on that particular day. But to me, I thought a lot of occasion you're running 10-yard stop routes when I would just love to see what got you here in that Florida game, and obviously in that Alabama game, you're throwing go balls down the sideline. Didn't see any of that. Didn't give guys really opportunities to do that on these corners, which I've seen give that up all season long. And I thought that's something that they really, really got away from. But, good thing for the walk-on. My boy Josh Williams, he had a big-time day. And I think he made a lot of special runs in that game to kind of, eat some clock up and really have that day running. You got to give credit to the offensive line, what they're doing in the run game, because if they weren't able to do that, I don't know how you even get to 13.
Yeah, they had to run it. As far as the interception goes, I could not tell what exactly the issue was. I couldn't tell if he was just, the screen was covered, so he was trying to just throw it away like quarterbacks do often. He didn't throw it low enough, and the Arkansas guy made a play. Or the second option I thought was a possibility, and I don't know if he talked about this after the game or not, but he had Neighbors was running. It was an RPO, and he had Neighbors on a slant, but Neighbors went to block right as Daniels was going to throw the football. And I wonder if he was trying to throw it to Neighbors, and then halfway through his delivery went, oh, he's not looking. And then he held on to it too long, trying to hold on and not throw it. And it went way too low. And either way, it was an incredible hand-eye coordination play by the Arkansas kid to catch the football. Either way, there was some sort of lack of execution there, and it resulted in a disaster.
Yeah, that was bad. I think, in games like that, like we talked about, coming out sleepy, coming out not executing, turning over the ball, and to have the fumble too. I just thought that when Denbrock saw that, you just knew that you were going to see a lot of run game, because that's the only way you lose that game on the road to that team who's, obviously they're going to play for their lives in that game after what they did last week. But I thought you just created a great environment for them to really be in the game, keep the crowd in it, be a possession away, and you just don't want to be in those kind of high-leverage situations when you don't have to. And I thought not being able to get points, which has kind of held this team all season early out in that game, kind of, really slowed things down a ton for that offense.
I thought the coaches made some errors on both sides in the first half. I thought Sam Pittman's decision to go for it on 4th and goal from the 3 with a 3-point lead after the fumble was a horrendous coaching decision. He talked about it in the press conference after and said, hey, I figured points were going to be really tough to come by with a backup quarterback. That was one of our chances to get a touchdown. I thought we'd have a chance to go up 10-0 there. Dude, take the points. Yeah. I mean, no, your quarterback's awful. I mean, awful.
Yeah.
And you've got an opportunity now to go up 6-0 and to keep to keep LSU down. You gave them a spark there basically by allowing them to get that 4th down stop. That, to me, was a horrible decision by Sam Pittman.
Yeah, it's free points. And I think anytime you get a change of possession like that and you get free points, you got to take it. I know it stinks as a coaching staff. It stinks as an offensive staff to get so close to the end zone and not get that touchdown. But I thought that at that point in the game, kind of watching how that LSU offense was operating, to be able to go up double digits in a game like that, I think you got to take that opportunity. If it was on the 1, probably would have liked it a little more. But I thought at that point it just wasn't the greatest call for me. You got to take those points.
And by the same token, Brian Kelly in the second quarter, LSU lined up to go for it on 4th and 1 from its own 24-yard line. Then you get the false start, and it's 4th and 6, and then they run a fake punt, which Mike Jones gets called for holding on it. If he doesn't hold, Bramblett's going to get stopped. I mean, this is not like Josh Jasper or some of the kickers of the past that are soccer players that are like they have some speed. Bramblett's slower than me, and he's running a fake almost out of his own end zone there. I hated the lineup to go for it on 4th and 1 and the decision to fake the punt. You're better than Arkansas. You don't have to play outside the box to beat that team. And then with 1:54 to play in the first half, it's a 3-3 game. It's 4th and 4. From the 6-yard line going in, and Kelly's lined up to go for that. What had you seen through 2 quarters of action that led you to believe you were going to be able to get 4 yards? You couldn't throw the ball. Daniels was getting bottled up. It wasn't like you were running it down their throats. It's 4th and 4. Take the field goal. Their offense is awful. Just take the points. And it turns out that 2 guys jumped off sides, Williams and Booty. So then you had to kick the field goal, which I was thrilled with. But I don't know what Brian Kelly had seen through 2 quarters that said that 4 yards was a statistical probability. It wasn't.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you feel like you have a play that you really, really like. You've been working on it all week, and if we get in this situation, we're definitely calling this. So sometimes, you're in the moment and you're thinking your guys are better. Let's execute and get this. But I think also on the road with an offense that you feel like on the other side is going to be very difficult. If this is Tennessee, if this is one of these offenses that are just, they're going to get 7 on the board, then I could possibly understand it. But against a backup quarterback, I think you got to get points. And I think on the other one where you ran the 4th and 1, like we saw Mississippi State try that time and time again. We've seen you can't just run inside zone. Like there's going to be an extra guy on the edge. You're not going to be able to block him. He's going to blow up the mesh point. You got to have something creative called there. I think just running that, if you're going to call something they haven't seen, show something you haven't, give them an RPO, do something like that. So I thought, you gave them every opportunity to try to, make that a game and win that game. Good thing for Perk out there and good thing for that backup quarterback, because if there's anyone, if KJ's out there, I think you lose that game on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't have any problem saying that either. As far as that decision they were lined up to go for it, I'm looking. It's 3-3, and you've got a chip shot field goal. And I could make the case at that point in the game that 6 points might win you the game. Like, going up by field goal might win. Malik Hornsby is incredibly fast, and I understand why he would have been a highly thought-of recruit. As far as playing quarterback, one of the worst throwers I've ever seen an SEC team start. One of the worst I've ever seen. It's inaccurate. Man. It's not on time. Yeah. He can run. He can't throw at all. They were not showing they were going to be able to move the football on your team at all. I was livid that Brian Kelly was not taking the points there. Thankfully, 2 guys jumped off sides, and they had to take the points. But, with Hornsby out there, and then Fortin comes in, and we'll talk about the touchdown drive in the next segment because we're about to take a break. But that's about as lucky a touchdown drive as I've ever seen. The 3rd and 17 throw was in the trees. There were guys everywhere, and it just happened to fall in. And then he gets absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree on the touchdown pass and somehow drops it right in the bucket. The receiver is literally centimeters from stepping out of bounds. There was a 1 foot by 1 foot box that ball had to be in. It turned out to be in there. And they get the touchdown. That was really the only thing the defense surrendered all day. But, man, it was tough sledding for both of these offenses. Thankfully, LSU did just enough to get it done.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt and Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.